In over 3 decades, I've learned that truly great car dealerships are only great because of one thing: leadership. So I'm sitting down with the great men and women inspiring automotive on TimTalks, Automotive Leadership and Beyond. Welcome, everyone, to yet another episode, brand new TimTalks Leadership and Beyond. I am pretty excited today. There's people in the business that you see and you know from different shows and out and about, and you've got same clients and different people and different vendors, and they're just good humans. And I have one of those good humans. There are a lot of incredible people. Lately we've had a lot of incredible females that are just doing incredible things, which I think is extremely encouraging in the automotive space that's been so good to me and my family. I have the one and only Laurie Halter. Let me say that again. Laurie Halter. There you go. And she is the founder, CEO, chief bottle washer of Charisma Communications. Laurie, so thankful that you get to hang out with us for a few minutes. What's going on?
I'm so excited to be on the call. You and I have known each other for years and years, and we were just joking before this podcast, like we know each other so well personally, and it's like, wait, what do you do as an actual profession in the space?
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. Well, I knew what you did. I just didn't know the official name of your business because it's just, everybody's like, just call Laurie. So
there we go. I like that even better. So we'll just
that's even better, right? Yeah. It's just I think you're the brand, right? Everybody just knows you. So let's just kick off. Like, tell me your story. Like, how did you get in? Like, what was your story?
Yeah.
Not like when you were born. If you want to go back that far is fine. But like what brought you into automotive? And let's start there.
Yeah, I think I love talking to people about what brought them into automotive because almost no one expects to be in automotive, right? And I'm pretty much the same way. So I moved to Portland right after college. I knew I wanted to come back to Oregon, which is where I still live. And I moved without a job, went to a job fair. And at the job fair, there was a little company there called Chrome Data. And this was, 1999. And I talked to them there. They were so wonderful. There's a woman there by the name of Phyllis McKenna, who I'm still friends with today. And I talked to them about what they did. I had no idea what automotive data was at the time, but luckily they decided to create a position for me within their marketing department. So I went to work for Chrome Data in 1999. And this was still at the time where my mom asked me what I did. And I'm like, tried to explain it. And she's like, so you work in a dealership? Like no one understood what we were doing there. But I worked there for 3 years, moved my way up from marketing assistant to, by the time I left 3 years later, I was marketing programs manager. They wanted to put me on the fast track for product. And I went to Phyllis one day and said, I just feel this internal longing to start something else. I just can't, I feel in my bones like I can't stay here. So she laid me off to get severance, and they became my first client of Charisma Communications. And I started my agency in 2003 and have not looked back. We've been in automotive ever since. We specialize in B2B, selling into the dealership space, and the rest is history.
Wow. And people may or may not know this, but Chrome Data was our first, when we were building Carnell, was our first, we gathered Chrome Data as far as model information, trim, that kind of stuff.
No, I did not know that.
Oh yeah, that was as we were building Carnell in 2013.
Yep.
We were using Chrome Data, and still do to this day, quite frankly, to pull model data so you can compare vehicles within the tool. So that's really awesome.
We joke that Chrome is like the nucleus of everything. Chrome is like the Adam and Eve in the automotive industry.
Yeah.
I know almost every single person I know has either started at Chrome, to work at DealerTrack when Chrome was acquired, uses Chrome. I mean, it's truly amazing. They're everywhere.
Yeah. And you'd be surprised how many, vendors like ours, like us that use Chrome Data.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. So listen, let's get right into it. So you talk about the marketing and helping automotive dealers. I think you help some vendors too as well, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, we work almost primarily with vendors. So we work primarily with vendors selling into dealerships, but due to that relationship, I've been able to create some really lovely friendships with dealerships as well and dealer groups.
Yeah. Yeah. And what do you see is the trend per se? Like, what are you seeing? Obviously, this is a leadership podcast. And one of the reasons we started this podcast was, in my travels, I get to see the old Clint Eastwood movie, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And lately, there's been some good, but normally there's in this space, there's a lot of people that go to work to wait. They don't go to work, to quote my friend Kevin Deutsch here in Atlanta. So, what are you seeing in your travels? The dealers that are making a difference? Is it a trend? Is it a marketing aspect? Like, in your Laurie opinion, like, I want your opinion. Like, what are you seeing? And then on the other flip side of that, like, what's keeping you up at night? Like, what are you seeing that scares you a little bit? I guess it's two questions.
Yeah, I love it. Well, for the beginning, leadership, I think what I'm seeing is the best dealership owners and leaders are the ones who have sat in every single seat in that dealership, right? I've talked to a number of different dealerships, one in particular, like Darren Wade. I'm just thinking about him the other day. He's from Rich Ford in Albuquerque. He has literally been at a dealership since he started. And he's been in sales, he's been in service, he's been in finance. And so I think a lot of times the best dealers that I know, the best leaders I know, have sat in every single chair. And then what leads into that is they then care for every single person in every single position because they've been there and they know the challenges that they faced. So I think the best leaders are the ones who have sat in every chair. I would run away, even on the vendor side. I'm going to get myself in trouble, but even on the vendor side.
Don't use names.
I won't use
no names.
But on the vendor side, when I have a tech company come in and they're so excited and they want to tell their story that they're tech heavy and they're from San Francisco and they're going to make a big splash in automotive. If they have no automotive experience, I'm like, stop telling that story. Like, that is the wrong story to go to market with. So, I think you've probably seen it too, Tim. It's experience, having the experience of the people who work for you and really having that like team dynamic. Like, we're all in this together. I'm going to do my very best to help you in your role, and let's all go win together.
Yeah, that's true. Darren happens to be a client of ours. I know him very well.
Yeah.
Great operator. And quite frankly, these podcasts are never about car now, but that's that was built while I was at the Lexus store. So I think, understanding when you're building something, it's a pain, and how are you addressing the pain? I want to go right into, because when I see you, I see you with Brooke, I see you with, others, and I see the incredible women that there's, I just left NAMAD, which shout out to the team at NAMAD. I would argue, what's the word I'm looking for? One of the most welcoming, I guess, is the word that I'm looking for. Welcoming conferences I've been to.
I've actually heard that from several others, Tim.
I'm just telling you. Look, there's as when we're some people are vented out. There's some mainstays. The Brian Pash does a good job. There's a Soda, and I'm gonna get in trouble because I don't mention somebody. Obviously, Kane, which is now my buddy David Kane. So there's a few out there that do a great job. And if I missed you, please don't yell at me because of my ADD brain. But I'm telling you, from the day we got there, just welcoming, and dealers were listening, and somebody walked by, they were genuinely interested. So we had a great time, and I've got a list of things to follow up on. We had such a good time, but unpack, why do you think it's taken this long to, and again, there's still so much room, but the growth of women in automotive, right? Yeah. We have women in automotive. Wilcan was at, Carrie Wise and Ashley, that is now, I think, the president. So, we have these amazing humans that just happen to be female that are doing some great things in automotive. And that just reminds me, I need to have Carrie Wise on now that, she's now with one of the people that I respect, Geo at Lot Links as well. Her and Carrie, I need to have them on. But what do you think? I mean, it's just not only are they in automotive, they're just doing incredible things. What is it? Why has it taken so long? Are you guys just building a sorority now? I almost said fraternity. But what are you seeing? What are you seeing?
This. I think there is a little bit of a sorority of sorts, and like what I'm seeing is this sorority is like, let's give everybody a hand up. Because the thing about the women in this space is, I think the reason it's taken this long to get us to where we are, and there's still a long way to go, but I'm so proud of where we are, is when I first started 20 years ago, there weren't a lot of women in leadership roles at all. So what you have, and I don't mean to demean men, because I've had amazing men in leadership who have given me a hand up. But I think as a woman, we are now getting to, you've got the Carrie Wises and the, Subi Ghosh, and I'd love to put myself in this category. We're at the top of our game. We're at the top.
April Simmons,
Brooke Furness. I mean, like Hannah Lifson, we could go on and on, but everyone's kind of at the top of where they can have the most influence in their organizations. And as a result, they're taking their hand out, putting their hand out to these younger women and saying, let us bring you along. This is a difficult industry to be a woman in, but we've got you and we're going to teach you and mentor you. And this is how you do it. So I think the answer is we're just finding more and more momentum, because you finally have women in C-suite leadership roles who know how hard it is to get to where they are and want nothing more than to help more women get into those leadership roles.
How do we recruit more? I mean, what do you think needs to be done? Is
you know what?
Because there's not, and there's certain, and look, I'm a guy. There's incredible human that happen to be gentlemen as well.
Yes.
But, the success rate of a driven lady is phenomenal.
Yes.
Is phenomenal. You mentioned April. That's another one that, you've got dealer groups that are wanting her input on certain situations. She was on here, a couple of weeks ago.
She's a total powerhouse.
And she loves to problem solve, right? So how does she problem solve, right? Lynn Hudson at the Morgan Group, who's a marketing director. Now she's done her own, leadership has her own leadership training specifically for women that is
so cool.
Doing such a good job. But how do we recruit? Are we missing something on how to get those additional Laurie Halters, additional Aprils and Carrie White, all the above? What are we missing? What are dealers missing?
A couple things. And one is really hard to change because it's very culture based, and it's very one is we just need to have a little more flexibility, especially within the dealerships. Women can't go bell to bell. If you have kids and you want a family, bell to bell is not it's just the way the labor is set up is not conducive to having a family.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Those women I know, April's a great example. She's got a family. She's got a strong family. So she was able to rise to the top of her dealership group in spite of the setup versus in help of the setup. So I think we need to find new and creative ways to help women work around their family, and men for that matter, to be honest. Men deserve to go home and have dinner with their family as well.
Yeah, of course.
And then I think the other thing is most of the women I've talked to fell into automotive. They were not recruited. And so I think it's just maybe a change in the dynamic of this industry, that women are strong drivers, they're strong leaders. Most of the dealers I speak with, if they have a female sales representative, she is crushing it and doing better than the majority of the male.
Yeah. And how do you, I mean, you have to do in the world we live in, with HR and everything that we have to tote the line.
Yeah.
I know, look, at the end of the day, if we have a job opening, we're going to open up to everybody. And if a guy, I don't care what you look like, smell like, who you pray, I don't just get it done. Right?
Yeah. Be a good worker. Be a good
worker. Just be it. I just think that, in this space and I'm still trying to put my hand on it, on the why that almost every, Laurie Halter, we've said all the, a few names, but it's almost in every situation that they've given an opportunity, a door to walk through, they've not walked it down, they've kicked it down, and then they continue to kick doors down. And I just think that, I look for that, and when we're hiring people of that person, again, no matter what they look like, but it just seems like they just continue more and more and more. And I want some insight on how to recruit those type people, because they do such an amazing job.
Yeah, I love this idea too. And another, let's talk about another amazing female, Kaylee Filio, of Parts Edge. I love her story because this is exactly what you're talking about, Tim. She was found and recruited in a Subway. She was working at Subway when she was recruited into Parts Edge. And so
Wow.
it's really along the same lines as what you're talking about. I think look for leadership anywhere. And the leadership qualities are like that. You're going to get it done. For me, I like I have a team as well. So when I'm hiring, I love someone who's like, I'm going to get it done no matter what. Like, we will figure this out and get it done. And so I think whether it's male or female, like that whole can-do attitude.
Yes.
And also, let's not discount like enthusiasm, right? Like, I'm a big attitude person. Like, if you come with the right attitude, I can train you for the job, but I can't train for attitude. If you have a terrible attitude and you're poisoning the team, it is time to get rid of those people immediately.
Yeah, I mean that's the main thing. I mean, you can't. I don't want to say you can't teach it, because I think you can. I think, they wrote in a book a long time ago, and I talk about it in here all the time. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I talk about Ben Carson when who ran for president, and he's a neurosurgeon and all the great things he did. In fifth grade they called him dummy. Like they literally called him dummy until he, he
became a neurosurgeon.
Yeah, and he began, and it was, and the key is, he's, the keynote that I heard him say is he said, listen, I have the same brain, and I just decided that I wasn't going to be dummy anymore, and I have found a passion for learning. So I do think you can, people's circumstances in life, things happen to where they are, but there comes a point that people, including myself, look, the biggest, person that's usually in your way is you, right? 100%. If you think they also wrote in that same book, as a man thinketh, so is he, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So, I think that, that is so, but the key is, as a leader, to provide, a situation in a fertile ground for people to grow.
Yes.
Unfortunately, when we talk about the good, we have to talk about the bad.
Yeah.
Automotive is full of a bunch of incredible people. I'm not even going to start mentioning names, because then people will get mad if I don't mention names. But I'm just there. But also they're full of people with monster egos, with being the smartest people in the room. With, if it's not my idea, it's not a good idea. And as long as people and if that's the the environment or the garden per se that they're given to grow, then I would encourage those people to find another place to root, find another place to get down. Because I tell you, and I tell this story for people that I know there's a lot of you guys. I get the texts, I get the emails. Thank you for the great feedback as Tim Talks continues to grow. Thank you. This goes out to almost 30,000 plus of our users of Car Now, and then obviously our 17,000 followers on LinkedIn. But that being said, the feedback's been good, but a lot of it is because of people can relate, and they've had that situation to where they haven't had that environment. And I talk about, in fact, I was just texting with Sarah Sweeney at Jake Sweeney Automotive, and Jake Sweeney Automotive is the group that hired me as a 17-year-old kid way back in 1989. I started out doing really well, and then the old guard started putting poison in my ears. Hey, how much money you making? How many hours you working? You don't have a life. And my sales manager, the guy's name's Dave, I literally went back to Jake Sweeney corporate, and I told Sarah this story, and she walked me into one of the guys that had been there back. I mean, he was there in the early 80s. Hold on. But it wasn't him. Like I said, I need to find this David guy. I said, this guy saw me getting kind of picked on and bullied and said, Tim, let's take a walk. It was no longer than a 10-minute conversation. Walks me up the hill, points at a house across the street and says, Tim, he said, you don't need to and this is 37, almost 4 decades ago, and says, you don't need to listen to the noise. You have so much potential, kid. He said, you one day can afford a house just like that.
Oh, I just got chills. That's so
and y'all,
great.
I'm just telling you, it was a 10-minute conversation.
Amazing.
If you want to start changing, and I was in a dealer group, I was at NAMAD this week, but the week prior, I poured into the leadership at a Collierville CDGR, my buddy's store. Doug Wilson, who is also an incredible human, and said, guys, I'm literally talking about that 40 years ago. I said, sales meetings are great, and they are, and you can get, people piped up and you can pass out spiz, but you really want to change the culture of your store.
Correct.
You need to have one-on-one time. You need to have walks. You need to have a conversation and find out, what's driving them and how you can facilitate. Because I tell you what, the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, the two that are my favorite is the law of attraction. Hey, something's going on there. Why are all these people leaving this dealership and going to this dealership or this company and going to this company? And then number two, the law of duplication. And one of my proudest things is sometimes, unfortunately, you want to give everybody promotions, but sometimes, like with our company, there's nowhere to move up. And people that have done a great job, they leave because they want to move up. But there's people that are senior vice president of sales, vice president of sales, directors of sales, and those people that started out in sales positions. So I'm kind of proud of that. Not saying that we're perfect, but I think if more people think that way.
It goes back to what I was saying about my good friend Phyllis. Like, we're still friends 30 years later. And when I came to her and said, look, this is just not working for me at Chrome. Any other manager may have said, okay, then it's time for you to go. She said, how can I help you? Not how can I help your position? Not how can I help the company? How can I help you get to the next level and get to something that you would love doing? So like, I still see her all the time. I mean, she's one of.
Is she still at Chrome?
Yes, she was from Chrome. She's no longer there. She's
okay. I was saying 30 years. Wow.
No, she's no longer there. But I mean, talk about powerful women, even back then, 20 plus years ago, helping me find what I was meant to do. And she cared about me as a person versus me as an employee of the company.
Let me ask you this. What do you think? Obviously, you have your own company. What are some specific tips for that woman that is just breaking into automotive? Maybe that's an agency business. Maybe that's a vendor, a salesperson or an account manager. Maybe that's a salesperson or a service advisor. What are some tips that if you could go back and talk to, yourself 25 years ago, but what would you, given a room of these women, what advice would you give them?
I think number one, just be assertive, right? And think like a leader from the very beginning. I meet a lot of women who are new in this, who want to kind of stay quiet and think, well, I don't want to speak out because maybe it's wrong. No, do you think any of the men at the table are thinking that way? They're not. So I think use your voice, be as bold as you want to. I think this industry really rewards females who are bold and who are assertive. We can't feel like we can be pushed around, because you will be pushed around if you go in with that attitude. So most of the women I know, and we talk about this a lot, the successful women I know in this industry were bold from the very beginning. They thought their ideas were important and they shared them at every turn. And were they always right? No. But what happened is people saw them and thought, ooh, that one has leadership possibilities, because at least she's sharing, brainstorming, and being assertive with her thoughts and opinions.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say, and this is going to be a little contradictory, so sorry, Tim. The other thing though is, I don't buy into this whole, as females, I love females. I support females, but also you have every right to be in that room. So let's not talk about women as let's help women. It's no, you're a woman who has every single right to be in this room and at this table. So I'd like to see a little more of that. And I know Carrie White, I know Wocan, Women in Automotive, they really also support this idea of you're not a female executive, you're an executive, and you have the right to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's 100% true. That's my point based on the statement.
Yeah.
Is almost every term, the successful ladies that I've seen are just, they're killing it and doing a lot of better job. And I think if we just as business owners and we just as leaders would stop thinking of people as women or as, people that don't look like, especially, I'm coming straight off a name ad, but I'm just telling you, there's some incredible humans, but, it's the old guard, some of the old guard in just the world, not only automotive. I'm just pleading for people to give people a shot. And if they're not the right person, then they're not the right person, not just try to fill a hole because they're that person, right?
Yes.
Like
No,
if they're the
100%.
right person, they're the right person. I literally could care less. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's I think what we need to get. There's
I
just
love
been
that.
so
And
many
most of the,
successful.
again, like most of the women I know who are where they are don't want to be thought of there because they're female. No, they're there because they're rock stars and they got there on their own accord.
I think that's probably the biggest point that has been made yet on this
Yeah.
20 minutes that we've been talking. I think that, so not because of I'm a female or I'm this or I'm that, but I got here because I worked my rear end off and because
Yes.
I'm good at what I do. And because when there's a problem, I figure it out like that.
Yeah.
They're absolutely need. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
I think more of the message is it's not, unfortunately. So how do we fix it?
Correct.
Right? It's
Correct.
not. So how do we fix it? How do we make it better? So
yeah. Exactly.
very cool. What are you seeing just in automotive? Like, are there any trends? Are you seeing, like, is there something that's exciting you that's up and coming? Like talk to me about your world for a minute. Like what are you excited about?
Well, we just put out a research report, which is very cool about AI. And I mean, I know everyone's AI, but I think what's so interesting, and there's this hole in the market, and like, it's going to be fascinating. Someone needs to fill it. During this research, we really found that what is being built a lot of times, and you'll appreciate this from Carnell, what's being built for dealers might not even necessarily be what they need. And so like we had a lot of dealers that we were interviewing for the AI research report that was like, they're building things that don't even solve our challenges. So what's exciting for me is, can we find a company? I don't have time to grow it and build it, but maybe someone does. Can we find someone who can be the middleman between what the dealers need and what's being built? Like, how cool would that be if it's just like you're actually building based on what the dealerships say they want? And that's out there. A lot of product managers handle that. But I just, from an AI perspective, it's just interesting. We've got this opportunity to build these amazing things within automotive, and yet we're not listening to one another.
Right. That's my partner used to tell me all the time, I don't have to be right, but one of us has to be right.
Right.
So I think that, you know what I mean? I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
I'm at the stage in my life, you go through stages, right? And I'm at the point in my life, and I've been here for several years. Like, I don't care about being right. Does not have to be my idea at all.
Yeah.
But let's just, and that's how we land the plane. That's why we say no one's smarter than everyone. Let's just get better together. That's literally why we close every podcast with that. Because if people truly believe that, then things get done and things get fought. And quite frankly, that's how Carnell started, because I had an issue because there was a dealer that moved into town that was selling bad Carfax cars and dirty car, and Car Gurus was saying, hey, they're and I was one of the number one CPO dealers in the Southeast. There was a bunch of stores in Florida that were beating me, but we were killing it in Atlanta. And Car Gurus was telling them, now they fixed it now, my friends at Car Gurus. But
I know, be nice about Car Gurus.
No, I'm being nice, but this is 13 years ago. They didn't have that. They didn't differentiate between certified and pre-owned. And they were telling, customers this was a great deal, even though it had 2 bad Carfaxes and 3 hung fenders and paint work. And I had a CP. So I started filming videos, but I needed to get it to customers. So we developed the first SMS that had rich content, which was
amazing. That
video in there. And then
when?
2013.
Wow, you were ahead of your time.
Wow, we were the first company in any. Too bad you can't patent software.
Right.
I'd be talking to you from the beach probably, but in all seriousness, instead of Atlanta, but yeah, first to do rich content, Chrome data that was models, but that was our problem, and we fixed it. How do you get to customers? How do you differentiate yourself? So absolutely, we don't have time now, but I'd like maybe talk to you offline about those issues, what you're hearing, because we're obviously delivering, some AI tools that we just delivered, that we just enhanced. But I really believe you brought AI up, so I'll land the plane here with AI. I really believe right now, and look, it's going to grow. I'm not poo-pooing AI at all, but we're getting a lot of customers that are coming back that went to full AI solutions. And here's the reason. AI right now, I believe, especially on the customer-facing side, is a lot like the EV market. And I've said this for a year. If everybody in this country started driving an EV, we'd have a problem.
Yes.
Charging stations, power grid, blah, blah. We can go on and on. It's a fact. Everybody today could trade in their car for a hybrid today. Mm-hmm. So we believe in using, and I really believe that's the answer. You take a little bit of AI, answer customers' questions, boom, 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 give them something, and then hand it to a person inside the store. And I'm seeing closing percentage in the 30%. But I would love to talk to you offline.
No, we can talk offline, but you're on the right track. It's how can we make this easier? Every dealer we spoke with said, how can we make this a better experience for our customers? That's how we want to use it.
Yep. Awesome. We are going to land the plane. Any final thoughts, my friend?
No, I would just say I love meeting new people. I love hearing from everyone. So if you're looking for me, probably easiest way is LinkedIn. Look for Laurie Halter. And I just thank you so much for having me on. I love talking to you, Tim.
Awesome. And I love talking to you. We are going to provide, and if someone wants to get a hold of your company, Charisma Communication, how do they, in fact, there's a link there. So my buddy Rob will provide that link with the podcast along with your LinkedIn. Rob is amazing, and I'm sure he will do that as he puts this podcast
no pressure,
together.
Rob, no pressure.
No pressure. It's a link. I promise you, he's done much more difficult things. I'm sure he can do that. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Laurie Halter, one of my dear friends. She's my buddy. She's always fun to be around. Not only fun, she knows her stinking stuff. She's one of the smartest people that I know in automotive, and I truly appreciate her friendship. And I want to learn from her. So you should learn from her. Reach out to her. Her LinkedIn and her company link is below in the comments. And listen, this has been another amazing 30-minute episode of Tim Talks. Please join us next time. Hit the like button if you're listening to us on Spotify or wherever you're getting your podcast. As we continue to grow, we just wanted to serve people. So as I always say, no one is smarter than everyone. We'll just continue to get better together. Hey, listen, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.